piece of the staff. Let's welcome in Logan Webb. Let's bring a friend of mine in, Pat Burrow. Pat, how are you today?
Bill, I'm doing great, man. Glad to be on with you.
Giants fans, this is Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On your exclusive home of the San Francisco Giants. KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
Dreyer again. On top. The left-hander comes in. Swing and a smash to third. Scooped up by Muncy on a short hop. Throws it in the dirt to first. And that is speared with a backhand swipe of the glove by Freddie Freeman. Outstanding plays on both ends for the final out. And it was an outstanding defensive night for Max Muncy over there at third base all the way around. Another really hard-hit ball by Matt Chapman at Muncy. And Muncy turned it into an out. The Dodgers beat the Giants for the third time this weekend and the fifth time in a row going back to last weekend in San Francisco. And they are now 9-3 for the year against the Giants.
Welcome into a Saturday edition of Extra Inning Postgame Show with Bill Laskey. As John just said, the Los Angeles Dodgers are now 9-3 with one game left in the 2025 season. That'll be tomorrow at 105. The Giants got off hot with 4 runs in the top of the first inning, but they couldn't score the next 5 innings. They couldn't even get a guy to second base. Not even one runner. They had a walk, couple base hits until the 7th inning, till Rafael Devers hit his 32nd home run. The Giants got back into it a little bit. They had first and third, but a fly ball by Schmidt just kind of fizzled there. And the 8th inning, Will Klein came in, punched out the side with 3 strikeouts, over 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And in the 9th inning, Jake Dreyer comes in and gets a nice 1-2-3 inning, and Dreyer gets the save, and the L.A. Dodgers get their 88th win. They're 88-67. And the Giants have suffered their 3rd straight loss to the L.A. Dodgers on this weekend, as they lost Thursday, Friday, and today. They're now 76-79 on the season with 7 games left, and they had an opportunity to jump back in this wild card with a win, as the Nationals beat the Mets earlier today in 11 innings. The Reds beat Chicago 6-3, so now they're 1 game back, and the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Phillies 4-3, so they're 2 games back. The Giants now are 4 games back, still with that with the extra game of beating the Mets, and it doesn't look good for the Giants. Let's put it that way. That's 5 games back with the tiebreaker. So now the Giants have to turn the page, and again, another tough outing for some young pitchers today. Kai-Wei Tang had it going, and all of a sudden he just started hitting guys. Hit 2 guys, 3 guys. Nothing really worked for him. He got out of the first inning. The first Ohtani strikes out, Betts strikes out, and he had Freddie Freeman 0-2, and he threw a sweeper and hit him in the foot. And then Max Muncy hit his 19th home run on a 2-0 fastball that was up, and it cut the lead right there to 4-2. The Dodgers just kept running, hitting home runs and adding runs. They had 2 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th. They ended up hitting 4 home runs on the night. They have 232 home runs on the season, as Muncy hit his 19th. Conforto, which had a great game tonight, he went 3 for 4 for the Dodgers. He hit his 12th. Tommy Edman hit the foul pole down the third base line. He hit his 12th home run also. And Ohtani, which I still don't understand why Peguero was trying to throw a fastball by him, got it up and away, and he smoked his 53rd home run to left field, smoked at 107 miles per hour, hit his 53rd home run, 53 home runs, and he's got 99 RBIs. So the Giants lose a tough one today, 7-5. No runs after that first inning. I think that's one of the things you got to look at. And one of the things I noticed, a lot of strikeouts once again by the Giants. The first 3 games, you're going to be amazed. 40 strikeouts in 3 games against the Dodgers. They had 14 on Thursday, 14 on Friday, and then 12 again tonight. So the bats just went dull. They went dull after the first inning. They had an opportunity to put a stranglehold on Glasnow in the first inning. They had bases loaded with 2 outs. Ramos strikes out. And they just couldn't add on, and that's the problem with the Giants. They get going hot in the beginning. They got a run yesterday in the first inning, but then they just couldn't put any added runs on as the game concluded with just a home run by Devers. And the Giants walk out of Dodger Stadium tonight with another loss, only scoring 5 runs on 8 hits and no errors. So they got a turn tomorrow, and it's going to be a tough one. Trevor McDonald, 24-year-old pitcher, really just coming to his own. Out of Mobile, Alabama, he was 9-9 with a 5.8 earned run average in AAA. He's got to go against the Beast tomorrow, and the Dodgers are looking to win the NL West. This is why this same lineup's going to be in there tomorrow. He threw one game in Arizona when he got called up, when Keaton Wynn got sent down. He threw 2 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. I think the biggest thing he's got to worry about is the home run ball, trying to keep the ball in the zone and not trying to elevate so much where you miss. And that's what's happened with the young pitchers. You want to try to elevate the fastball, but you got to get it up around the chest. And if you get it by the waist, that's not up enough. And that's where Peguero made a mistake on Ohtani, just like Robbie Ray did yesterday. You're trying to elevate the fastball. You got to get under the ball to make that ball rise. And if you don't, even though Peguero throws 100 miles an hour, Ohtani doesn't matter how hard you throw. He's on it everything, and his stance is so perfected. And what his hands do and how he approaches the ball, he can go to left field, he can pull the ball, and when you need a base hit, he can get a base hit. I mean, when you're looking at a 285 hitter this year, you know, he's fighting for that MVP trophy once again. Shohei Ohtani, just one of those kind of players that we don't see that much. And again, he's leading this LA Dodger team with 53 home runs. 415-808-KNBR. If you want to get on the phone lines, we can talk about this Giants game and this Giants team. And right now, 3 games under 500, which is going to be tough. And, you know, one of the bright spots in this game was Bryce Eldridge getting his first hit in that first inning, a double to left field, a 3-2 fastball, hit it over Conforto's head, and 3 runs scored. And that was his first major league hit. And he's the youngest player ever since Jack Clark did it in the late 70s, where the first hit he got was a double and 3 RBI scored. So a great game for Eldridge. I thought he swung the bat well tonight. He struck out in the 3rd inning, ground ball to second, but he got a walk in the 7th. A little more easy, a little more stress related in the box, and he's swinging at the ball a lot better. Tomorrow we'll see him again. Emmett Sheehan's going to be pitching tomorrow, another right-hander. He's 6-3 with a 3.17 earned run average. I just like to see him get about 2 or 3 hits in a game, really open it up and show what kind of a spin and how much he can swing and how hard he can hit the ball, because that's the guy we know from Bryce Eldridge, especially when you look at the numbers, what he's done this year in the minor leagues. 25 home runs, 21 doubles, 84 RBIs, and a 260 batting average. Good signs from him with the double. First hit of major league career. His mom was there and his family was there celebrating, and it was a fun time, and it should, because Bryce Eldridge has now got a batting average in the big leagues. All right, 415-808-KNBR. I threw that number out there. Give me a call. Let's talk. Got a couple nice interviews in the show later on. Eric Karros, of course, you see him on Fox Baseball on Saturdays, and he also played with the Dodgers and knows a lot about the Dodger-Giants rivalry. Sat down with him this week. And then Ed Halicki, a name that you remember back in the late 70s. He threw a no-hitter at Candlestick Park, the last no-hitter that was thrown by a Giants pitcher at Candlestick. And he's also got some Giants-Dodger rivalry stories. So a couple good interviews later in the show. But let's get to the phone lines. We'll take a quick break. 415-808-KNBR. Let's talk Giants baseball. I'm Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up next, right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
From the mound to the mic, this is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him by saying to your smart speaker, play KNBR.
2-1 pitch. Here it is. Swing, and there's a drive into deep left field. Way back there, still going. And Conforto, he can't get to it. It's over his head, off the base of the wall. 1 run is in, 2 runs in. Matt Williams is waving them all in. A 3-run double, and that's the first major league hit for Bryce Eldridge at Dodger Stadium. He cleans off the bases to give the Giants a 3-0 lead.
Back on the Extra Inning post-game show with Bill Laskey. A great call there by John Miller as Bryce Eldridge got his first major league hit in the first inning. Got bases loaded, hit a 3-2 fastball over Conforto's head for a double, and 3 runs scored, and he got 3 RBIs on it for his first major league hit, a double. And the Giants just couldn't add on from there. The Giants scored 4 in the top of the first inning. Dodgers came back with 2 with Max Muncy's 2-run home run in the bottom of the first. And the Giants just wilted away for 5 straight innings. Couldn't even get a runner on second base. And the Dodgers come back with power, of course. Power. They got it from the top all the way to the bottom. And that's why this Dodger team has scored 793 runs this year. 793, the most in Major League Baseball. And the Giants, with only 5, they got 671 runs. So you can see the big difference of over 120 runs. And that's where you look at 88 wins compared to 76 wins. But the Giants, when you look at it, the bullpen is just taxed. Bob Melvin and J.P. Martinez is just trying anybody that they can in certain scenarios. Today, Jose Buda went in there and just couldn't find the strike zone. He ended up giving a home run up to Edman right on the third base foul pole, hit the foul pole, which is really a fair ball on a foul pole. It's kind of crazy, but it was a home run. And then Matt Gage came in, got a third of an inning, and got out of it. And then Peguera came in, and he looked sharp, but then he started throwing too many fastballs, and he ended up giving up a couple hits, and it just turned around on him in the 6th inning, a home run by Ohtani, and then Betts got a double, and then Hernandez hit a ball off of Chapman that ended up going into short left field, and 2 more runs scored in the 6th inning. And J.T. Brubaker, who I'd like to talk about a little bit, they picked him up off waivers from the New York Yankees, 31 years old. I thought he really threw the ball well today for the San Francisco Giants. He went 2 1/3, only giving up 1 hit, 1 walk, but punched out 3 in that 8th inning. Punched out Freeman, Muncy, and Hernandez, and really was sharp, had a good sharp breaking ball. If you remember anything about him, he did pitch with the Pittsburgh Pirates for a couple of years, and this year he started with the New York Yankees. Got into 12 games, 16 innings, 10 hits, 6 runs, and then they waived him. And sure enough, right there, the Giants picked him up, and he came over here. He's been in 4 games. He's only pitched 8 2/3 innings. But tonight, I thought the best he's pitched so far in an orange-black uniform. But right now, they're just scuffling. The whole bullpen's just, whenever somebody's coming in, they're just going out there and trying to get outs. And Bob Melvin, J.P. Martinez is just scuffling right now and trying to get anything out of the bullpen. Starting pitching, as we talk about Logan Webb, we talk about Robbie Ray, Justin Verlander. Those are the only 3 that are in 3 spots of your rotation. 4 and 5 spot have been question marks. Kai-Wei Tang was thrown in again today. He threw 4 innings against Colorado, looked pretty good. Today there was times where he did look good. He struck out 6 guys. But then there was also times in this game where he hit a guy, 2 guys, 3 guys. And he also walked a couple of players. So, you got to look at what the Giants have in his pitching staff and what they can do. And when you start looking at the IL, that's where mostly all your good pitchers are. When you look at Landon Roop with a knee problem, Carson Wisenhunt had a lower back problem. You start looking at Eric Miller, who's had a left elbow sprain for a long time this year, almost half of the season. And, of course, Randy Rodriguez now is out for another year. He's going to have Tommy John at the end of September. Those were 4 guys that really were part of this Giants staff at one time or another this year. And, of course, trading Tyler Rogers and Camilo Duvall. And you also you lost pitchers there in those trades. So the Giants got a rebound. And tomorrow we're going to see, a young pitcher once again trying to get this mammoth lineup out. And, of course, Trevor McDonald, he's watching these guys. He's been watching them for 3 games. He's going to have to get the ball down and get ahead of hitters, because a lot of times when you look at these games, the Giants have given up hits batsmen or walks, and today they gave up 7 with 4 walks and 3 hits batsmen. 2 of them scored, but the home run ball has hurt the Giants, as the LA Dodgers have hit 232 home runs on the season. And they're ready. They're primed. They're going to be in the playoffs. And this is a lineup that's starting to work real well for the LA Dodgers. All right, 415-808 KNBR if you want to get on the phone lines. Let's get to Gilbert in San Ramon. Gilbert, you're on an extra inning post-game show. How are you this evening?
Oh, thanks, Bill. I'm doing really good. You know, Kai Tang was looking pretty good tonight, and then just like you said, and then there's other times when he's throwing, and you're like, this guy doesn't even look like a major league pitcher. And it's it's a great to watch the Giants and Dodgers rivalry. I remember watching it in '93 when the Dodgers beat the Giants in that 103 win season, and that was the end of. And then they started the wild card right after that. I remember Kevin Gross pitched against Solomon Torres. And it's just been now the Dodgers are what?
I think the biggest problem. I think the biggest problem is they just don't have enough arms right now. They're filling it with AAA guys that really haven't had good years even in Sacramento, but they're stuck with what they have. And tomorrow, Trevor McDonald's going to go out there. He was 9-9 with over a 5-pointer in run average in AAA. He's got good stuff. He's a young kid, 24 years old. But to go up against the Dodgers in this mammoth lineup, it's going to be a shell shock to him tomorrow if he doesn't get people out. Kai Tang had good stuff going. He has Freeman 0-2 and hits him in a foot. And I thought that was a big miss right there. And then he goes 2-0 on Muncy, gets a fastball up, and all of a sudden it's from 4-0, it's 4-2. He struggled at times, and you remember this also. In St. Louis, he had thrown 4 shutout innings, and he walks the first 3 hitters. I think you hit it right on the head. Some of these guys are inexperienced, and they're being thrown in some big games against some big teams, and they're just not performing.
Yeah, and we don't even look like a 500 baseball club this year. We look below average. You know, I mean, even Farhan's team had better records than this. So for Buster Posey's first year, it was a tough one, and it's going to be even tougher next year because I'm just not seeing it, Bill. I'm not seeing that at all. I see Arizona.
Well, I think the biggest thing. I think the biggest thing is just the foundation of players, knowing they're coming back, knowing who they're, who's playing. Is Devers going to be the first baseman? Is Eldridge going to have some time there? Who is Schmidt going to be your second baseman? You know you're going to have Adames and Chapman at short and third. You're going to have Jung-Hoo Lee in center field. You have Ramos in left field. There are some holes to fill, but I really think they're going to have to get some serious pitching here. Will they bring Verlander back? I don't know. You don't know. We don't know what the future is. But, boy, from the second half, ever since the All-Star game, he has been pitching lights out.
Yeah, Verlander's pretty good. But you have to remember, though, he could have gotten a loss the other day against Arizona minus a couple defensive plays. He has pitched better. I will give you that, Bill. But in the beginning of the season, he was pitching just, giving up a lot of long fly balls that or could have been extra base hits.
Oh, I agree there.
He was like below average. But I think you could bring him back. But it's still at the same time, Bill, how are we going to compete? We got the same manager next year, same staff, same front office. If we want to give him 3 years and stay as a 500 team, I'm okay with that. I really am, because that's
but you hit it on the head here. When you look at what they're doing against the NL West this year, and I always look at what they do in their division, and the San Diego Padres, they went 3-10 against them, 10-3 San Diego, 10 wins. Tomorrow the Dodgers win, they'll do the same, 3-10. The Dodgers will win 10. Those are your 2 top teams in the division, and look, they can't even play 500 against them. And Arizona even, they're 6-7 against Arizona, and Arizona's really the middle of the road type of team, and they didn't even 500 there. So when you're looking at a team right now, they have 20 wins and 28 losses in the NL West, and the only team they've won is against Colorado, and they're 8-2. You take that out, it's really ugly. It's really ugly. You're talking 12-26. So that's what I look at. How are you going to get back in this division and substantially try to win? That's the big question I'm going to throw at them this offseason.
And look at our payroll. Look how high our payroll is with our core people, like you said, Devers, Adames, Chapman, Lee. And you want to, and like you say, we have to go out and get, 4 more pitchers? And we got now.
Yeah,
we got
and you also got to look at Webb and Ray. Webb and Ray's making good money too. And if you're going to throw Verlander in there, you're making $15 million for 1 year. The payroll is really on 6 to 7 players and pitchers included. So that is going to be a big question mark on how much they spend. And are they going to spend more? Are they going to go back with the younger players and continue to try to funnel them in with the veterans? It's a big question, Gilbert, and we'll find out. But thanks for the call on a Saturday. I appreciate your time. Let's go down to Orlando, Florida, and talk to Joshua. Joshua, how are you on a Saturday evening?
Hey, Bill. I got you on the car phone. Can you hear me on the speakerphone here?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good right now, buddy. I'm fine. But, how you been, man? I haven't talked to you in a while.
I'm doing good. I just been following the Giants highlights and going to the MLB app and checking what they're doing. And you know what this last 2 weeks tells me? The Giants are like Anthony Rodon's cleats haven't seen a rub of infield dirt in them since 2020. That's what they look like right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I look at their last, they're 1-7 in their last 8 games. And they won 1 game in Arizona. Of course, last Friday with Patrick Bailey's grand slam, they were rolling a little bit. They lost the next 2 games to L.A. They went into Arizona, lost the first 2, then they win the third one. And then today, it just looked like some of these players, after they struck out, they just didn't give a damn. I mean, I was looking at a lot of frustrated faces. I looked at a lot of back to the umpire on a couple pitches. That frustrates me because you're a big leaguer. You got to give it 100% if you're winning or losing.
Big comfy couch for the 2025 offseason. That's what they look like right now.
Yeah, they do, and I'm disappointed in that. I really am. And, you look at what Bob Melvin's doing and J.P. Martinez and trying to get a pitching staff that's really AAA pitchers and a couple guys that were waived from big league teams. That's really the question mark. That bullpen is this shot. The bullpen is, take one guy. Who do you want now? Who are you going to take now? There really isn't kind of any flow down there right now, and I think that's really hurt them ever since they made the move and got rid of a couple pitchers. Going back to Kyle Harrison, getting rid of Kyle Harrison, you get rid of Rogers, you get rid of Duvall, then Walker becomes the closer, Rodriguez goes down. A lot of arms down there that started the season when they were the best bullpen in baseball. It's gone down south.
Buster has to work and see who he needs to subtract, and I think the guy he's not going to subtract is Peguero. He's actually a really good pitcher since he came up.
Yeah, a young kid, 10 years in the minor leagues, Joshua. He's been in the minor leagues. He's got good stuff. I just didn't like how he threw Ohtani today. He tried to overthrow him, throwing 100 miles an hour. He got it up over the plate. It should have been elevated a lot higher than what it was, and he got his arms out just like he did with Robbie Ray yesterday, hitting that ball to left field. The guy can mash. You can't get balls by him. Now, when you looked at what Kaiwei Tang threw at him, threw a lot of off-speed. He threw the sweeper at him. He threw different things of moving to right to left, going down on changeups. I just don't think you can challenge him with fastballs unless you're throwing him high up in the zone and maybe something down in the zone so his eyes go up and down. But right now, he's dialed in.
Yeah, Ohtani's out to make a killing in the playoffs again. But, we can't talk about the Giants and playoffs. That's what they were looking at 3 weeks ago. Giants, playoffs. Are they going to get over the Mets? You know what you got to look at now? The offseason. And Buster is looking at it already. I'm telling you that.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's almost impossible with 7 games left. And you're 5 out with the 4 games out, and then you're looking, you got to leapfrog 2 more teams. You got to leapfrog the Diamondbacks and the Reds. The Reds got the easiest schedule right in front of them, and then the Diamondbacks have a tough schedule. They got Philly, they got L.A. and San Diego, while the Reds really come down to, they're playing the Cubs 1 more, then they got Pittsburgh for 3 and Milwaukee for 3. So, the Mets really, they finish with Washington tomorrow. They got to play the Cubs in Miami. It's just not looking good for the orange and black to try to get a wild card position this year. They did, they had spurts, no question. They got us excited, at times in August and September, but they just couldn't do anything in the month of September, Joshua. They just couldn't get the offense rolling. They came into this road trip today, just today, when they were 1-4 and they had a team batting average of 125. You're not going to win many games when your whole team's hitting 125.
And you know what? I'm really happy they got Eldridge and Drew Gilbert in September. It shows you what you got when spring training comes around. That's the thing I'm happy about.
Yeah, I agree with you there. At least they're giving him an opportunity, both of them, to see big league pitching and how good it is. You can rake in AAA, you can rake in AA. It's a whole different animal when you get to the big leagues, especially when you're hitting against some of the top pitchers that have been in the league for 5, 6, 7 years, where they can hit a spot. I look at Yamamoto with the splitter and the fastball, changing the eye level. This is something they're learning, and I think that's the big really the move that the Giants wanted to do with both Gilbert and Eldridge, and see what they can do at the level, playing in front of 30, 40, 50,000 people also. So I'm anxious to see how Eldridge does tomorrow against another right-hander, and I'm really anxious to see how the Giants fans are going to come out this last homestand and watch him hit, because I think that's where we're going to really see how much he can do damage at Oracle.
Yeah, after finishing my call here with you, I appreciate all the time, but I'm looking forward to the 2025 offseason, and my prediction is the Phillies are going to go far this year.
Yeah, Joshua, well, thank you for the call. I always appreciate talking to you. I'll be on tomorrow, and then next weekend we'll close it out with Colorado, and we'll be looking for the 2026 season. But again, Joshua, thanks for your time calling in. I appreciate everything you do. Let's go out to Berkeley and talk to my buddy Andrea. Andrea, how are you on a Saturday evening?
Good. How are you and Clover?
Yeah, my co-host had to bark today when I was doing the pregame warm-up show. It was pretty funny. Sound asleep in the backyard when I started, and as soon as I started, right at the screen, wanted to say hello, but the little lady's sound asleep now, and Clover got to get her bark in today.
Oh, good. No, I was enjoying your pregame show, and I heard about Clover. And, yeah, that was cute. So, yeah, take a page out of your playbook and focus on the positive. And Bryce Eldridge got his first hit, not only first hit, but 3-run double as his first hit in the major leagues, which Sarah Langs on Sports says hasn't been done since Jack Clark of the
That's pretty
Giants.
cool. Jack was a teammate of mine, Andre.
Oh.
He started in the late 70s, and that's when that stat came about. But the Ripper could swing the bat. He was atrocious, man, when he came up to the plate. And he used to swing a small bat and swing. He'd stay right on top of the plate and look for the ball away. And there was so many times at Candlestick Park, Andre, he'd hit rockets into the wind, and they'd catch it at the fence, and he'd come in just slamming his helmet, screaming at the winds of Candlestick and saying, that's a home run in every other ballpark. But what a great competitor Jack Clark was.
Oh, nice to hear that. Yeah, so that was, really empowering to see. We'll focus on the positive and, the season ahead. And, he's October 20th, 2004, and his mom was in the stands and mentioned at the post-game interview, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Today was her birthday and her twin sisters. So it's like, wow, a lot of cosmic
And they caught a foul ball. They caught a foul-off ball from Matt
did.
Chapman, of all things. I thought that was pretty funny on TV when they showed that. An exciting time for the family, Andrea. You've seen it for many years when the family kind of follows the player for the, when they come to Oracle, they always dress them up in Giants gear. And a lot of them will travel just to watch them a little bit. And I remember Logan Webb way back when the Webb family used to follow Logan around when his first couple of years pitching. It happens. I mean, you want to see your kid play. You want to see him compete, especially at the big league level. That's what's great about families.
Yeah, and he's in the right time at the right place. Mars is in Libra, conjunct his sun in Libra, and that's a crucial planet for an athlete who has energy, assertion, and aggression. So he has a lot more energy. Jupiter in Cancer, conjunct his Saturn, Jupiter expansion, Saturn career. So, 20 is young, but it really is excellent timing for him to be making his debut and, getting his hit and moving towards the future.
So, Andrea, let me ask you, do you remember when you were 20
Yes.
years old? You do? At 20?
Well,
You were, huh? You
I
remember
sort
20
of
years old?
do, but it wasn't, it was more of, I'm kind of grappling now that you asked the question. I'm like, yeah, let's see.
Were you
I
in
think
college
it was
back
tough.
then, Andrea? Were you in college? Did you go to Cal or anywhere? Where'd you go to college?
Oh, I went to Queens College, then I went to Cal for
Oh,
graduate
that's right. You're
work
from
in
New York. That's right.
sociology.
I remember that.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yes. How can
A
you
long
forget?
time ago for us both, Andrea. Those were many moons ago, but at least we had a good time when we were growing up.
Oh, we sure did. And, I was following baseball since 1973, so I always had that to kind of have and enjoy. And, but 20, he seems actually pretty mature now that you mention it. 20.
He does.
Right?
I remember interviewing him. I interviewed him last year and then again this year, and he always talked about his beard because he says everybody would card him when he didn't have a beard, so he grew a beard, and he said, nobody carded me anymore. So I thought it was pretty funny. But he does look a lot older when you look at him with his beard. He doesn't look 20 years old, and he enjoys it. He's enjoying baseball, and he's very mellow about it. And I loved interviewing him. I'm sure you've heard me interview Bryce before, and just a good kid. I'm really happy for him, and he'll settle in. He's going to be a big leaguer. He's going to be an all-star. He's going to be a very, very good player for the San Francisco Giants. So, Andrea, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I'll be back on tomorrow, and next weekend, the Extra Innings will be closing out next weekend, and got a couple good guests coming on next, so we'll take a break and come back with more on the Extra Inning postgame show. Eric Karros is going to join me next. Of course, Eric Karros works for Fox Sports. He does Fox Baseball, and he does a great job. He's been in the big leagues for 14 years. He was a National League Rookie of the Year in 1992, National League Player of the Week a few times with the LA Dodgers. So I sat down with Eric Karros. I wanted to talk about how he liked being a broadcaster, as well as the Giants and the Dodgers rivalry. So that's coming up next right here on the Extra Inning postgame show with Bill Laskey on KNBR, the sports leader.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with former Giants right-hander Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR. Play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. I'm honored to have a guest on with me. 14 seasons he played in Major League Baseball. He was the National League Rookie of the Year in 1992 with the LA Dodgers. Also picking up the Silver Slugger Award in 1995. A National League Player of the Week 4 times with the LA Dodgers. Currently, you can see him as a broadcaster on Fox Baseball on Saturday, as well as doing studio work on a pre- and post-game. Let's bring in Eric Karros. Eric, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I appreciate your time, and we got to go right into it. Dodgers-Giant rivalry, of course, it's steaming every year. How did you play it when you played?
Man, I go back to watching that as a kid. My dad and brother, huge Dodger fans. My dad grew up a Brooklyn Dodger fan. And then watching, the first thing I remember was Joe Morgan hitting a home run off Terry Forster. And that was that sent the Dodgers home, and I remember that. And then my playing days started. We started right in the minor leagues. Had a few brawls with the Giants minor league clubs, and then we get up to the big leagues. And man, there were probably, I don't know, there were probably 4 or 5 games that I remember starting in '93. We knocked the Giants out last day of the season, and then they returned the favor in 1997. Brian Johnson hitting a home run against us in an extra inning ball game. We call that the Brian Johnson game. And then, ironically, the very first baseball game I ever called on Fox was the Steve Finley game. That was, I believe that was in '04, was that? '04, I believe. Yeah, the Steve Finley a grand slam at the end of the year against the Giants. And so, yeah, a lot of memorable games. And then we were fortunate. We played the last game against the Giants in what was Candlestick. And I have the ball, the last ball that was ever used at Candlestick Park. I still have that ball.
Eric,
So there's my recollection of Giants stuff.
Some great stuff, and I'll throw you a little memory for you. I was a starting pitcher in that game in 1982, and Joe Morgan hit that home run. So
no way. Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Good stuff.
to you, but all the way going back to that. But let's talk about you. You were born in New Jersey. You ended up moving to San Diego. What time of year did you do? Were you a young man when you did that? How old were you when your parents moved you?
Yeah. So my dad was from back east. He was raised in a Masonic boys' home, born in Brooklyn and then raised in Utica, and that's the affiliate of the huge Brooklyn Dodger deal. And he met my mom, who was in San Diego when he was stationed in the Marines, and they ended up getting married. So went back east for about a year, and then they moved back to San Diego. My mom won over, and so I'm from San Diego, born in Jersey, but grew up in San Diego.
Yeah, you went to a high school in San Diego. Did you play multiple sports? Were you a football, basketball kind of guy along with baseball?
Yeah. Back in the day when everybody played every sport, right? Things have obviously changed, but yes, played basketball, football, and baseball. Probably, I would say basketball was probably the sport I enjoyed the most. That was the most fun. But I was not cut out to be a basketball player.
Well, you moved on to UCLA, and you ended up getting drafted in the 6th round, 1988 draft. Did you enjoy college because you ended up getting a degree in economics? What was it about UCLA that you drew to go there?
So I went to UCLA. My whole high school infield ended up going to San Diego State, and I grew up in San Diego. And I just, I kind of wanted to go away to school, and so I ended up getting into, I applied to UCLA, got in there academically, which, at that time, it's certainly not as stringent as it is now. And then just walked on to the baseball team. No, nothing, just, let's go out and try out for the team. And made the team, one of 2 guys that walked on, made the team. And then Ended up playing 3 years there. But I went to I didn't think, after high school, I just, I kind of thought, what you do is you go to school and baseball, playing baseball in the big leagues just seemed like that was a whole nother animal. That was something so far away. But as things, as you climb ladders, you think, okay, well, I can take the next step, and then I can take and you get closer and closer, and before you know it, you're in the big leagues.
That voice you hear on the Extra Inning post-game show is Eric Karros. Well, you ended up signing in 1988. It didn't take you long to get to the big leagues in 1992. As I previously said, the National League Rookie of the Year. What a sensational year you had. 149 games, 20 home runs, 88 RBI, starting first baseman. Was it difficult for you at first to be a presence in the big leagues as a rookie, and what did you have to overcome?
I think just the newness of it, do I belong, all those sorts of things, and I don't know, good or bad. There were a lot of expectations for that team. We had a veteran team. We ended up losing 99 games for a whole assortment of reasons, and I think because of that, though, I was probably afforded some opportunities, and it allowed me to grow without the pressures of, hey, we've got to win every game because we're in a playoff race. Tommy Lasorda ran me out there every day, and I think I started every day after the middle of May. So that made things a little easier for me, and I was able to get my feet wet and had some veteran presence in that clubhouse as well.
Eric, you mentioned Tommy Lasorda, a veteran manager, and using rookies as much as he could, and he definitely fell in love with you by putting you out there. And what happened, the outcome was you did great. How was it playing for him? Any pressures from him at any time?
So for me, Tommy obviously is very instrumental in my career, both on and off the field. So, he gave me an opportunity, and he stuck with me. Believed in me. The funny thing, my very first at bat at the '92 season, we're in San Diego, and that was my hometown. Coming up to the plate, he calls me over from the on deck circle and tells me, Craig Lefferts is on the mound, and he says, I've got better stuff than he does, and I've been throwing to you all spring long. You're going to get an inside fastball, and I want you to turn on it. And I go up to the plate, and I'll be darned, I got an inside fastball, first pitch, and hit it out to left field. I'm running around first base, and I'm ecstatic. Just it's my hometown. I hit a home run, but then I'm going around first, and I'm thinking, son of a gun, this guy just called it. He told me I was going to get an inside pitch. So for me, Tommy, super instrumental in everything, a big part of my life.
Well, you played 14 years at first base. The numbers at first base were outstanding. 111 errors only in 14 years, and I think that's unbelievable for a first baseman. You ended up with a close to a 995 fielding percentage, but no Gold Gloves. Well, why? What was the reason? Any idea?
So here I will say this: I felt like 95. I should have had it, but here's the craziest thing, and it's Giants related. So I ended up, I don't know, near the end of my career, it was 2001 maybe, or 2000. But I ended up, I led the league 1 year in fielding percentage. It wasn't until then, though, I had been down at first base. J.T. Snow was playing first base for the Giants, and we both wore Wilson. I'm looking at his glove, and I'm saying, son of a gun, that's like the hugest glove I've ever seen. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wait a minute, I wear Wilson. Like, what am I, And I played literally for 8 years in the big leagues with one of the smallest first baseman gloves.
Wow.
Because they had and honest to God, I got that darn glove that JT had, the same size, and I'll be darned, I led the league in fielding next year. And it sounds stupid and ridiculous, but honest to goodness, it was another inch and a half, and that was, that's huge when you're playing over at first.
Eric Karros joining me on the Extra Inning post-game show. 15 postseason games you were in, 95, 96, and it goes on. You were 15 for 50. You hit 300 in all 15 postseason games. Unbelievable. 9 runs, 4 home runs. At the end of the season, tired? Were you just a little bit anxious? But overall, it looked like you were prime because these numbers are outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, you go by now, oh, look, what was the OPS, right? And it's,
Mhm.
and it was, I had some success. It was weird in those series had, again with the Dodgers and then the Cubs. Um, I either have an unbelievable series or I would not have a good series. And I think I played in, I think there were 5 or 6 series. Um, and it was just one of those things. But the overall numbers were good, and I didn't have a ton of opportunities to play in the postseason just because, like I said, we were 90, 95, and 96, and then not again until '03. Had some teams. I felt like our '97 team that was probably our best team, and I felt like that year we probably should have won. We could have won the World Series. I remember the Marlins coming to our place and we ran them out of the building 3 out of 4 late in the year. But again, I go back. That was that Brian Johnson home run year. That was the I'll never forget that. But
Yeah, we
anyhow,
remember that
just
well
one of
here
those things,
too.
right? Yeah, yeah.
That was a
No,
big
I'll
hit
never
for the
forget that.
Giants. It sure was.
Yes, it was. Yes,
Well,
it
Eric,
was.
you ended in your 14 years with 284 home runs, 1,027 RBIs, and what was really outstanding, 5 times, 5 seasons, you had 30 home runs and over 100 RBIs. Of course, you were playing with Raul Mondesi, Mike Piazza. You guys were so strong in the middle of that order. What was it over those years? Just healthy wise, hitting the ball better. What were some of the thoughts you were having in those years? Because those production years of 30 with 100 are unbelievable.
I think it was just it was opportunity and staying healthy. I mean the one year I had a stretch 5 out of 6 years, and the one year I didn't do it. I missed about a month and a half. Had knee surgery at the beginning of the year, and I felt like that was one of the things though going in every year was the at the time what was what my role on that team was to hit home runs and drive in runs. And it's interesting because you go decades and
Hmm.
periods of time, and different things are emphasized. It's you go back like the Dodgers. Steve Garvey used to get the 200 hits and hit 300 back in the
Right.
70s, and that's because that's what was emphasized. That's
Hmm.
what was desired. The years I played, it was home runs and RBIs. Now it's a different thing. It's OPS. That is
Right.
the driving measuring stick. And I think players will always go after or strive to get whatever is being emphasized. And it doesn't mean that Steve Garvey couldn't have had a great OPS if he played now, or maybe I would have been a different hitter if I played now. I do believe that players chase what is, it sounds bad to say, but it was economically driven, and that's kind of how things. I think that's back in then that the home runs and RBIs, that's what was desired of me.
Eric Karras joined me for a couple more minutes on the Extra Inning Post Game Show. You move on, you retire, you get into TV, pre and post game, analyzing games, and you're doing a fantastic job on Fox Saturday Baseball. I love watching you be a broadcaster. Was that something you wanted to do when you retired? Is that something you achieved that you said, hey, this is something I'm interested in, and you move forward?
I
Because you're excellent at it.
well, thank you. I had an opportunity, and it was. I had always dabbled in things, LA, just because we were fortunate, whether it was Fox covering baseball or the local networks, if there were playoffs and we weren't involved in the coverage, I would be asked to do things. So I kind of dabbled in it. And fortunately, like I said, I had an opportunity to call that Giants Dodgers game in '04. That was the first game, and it was only because somebody for Fox had was not able to do a game. That was a last minute deal, and that was my break. I did that game. I went to ESPN for 2 years, and then returned to Fox, and been there. This is my 20th year at Fox, and currently also do the games with the Dodgers. About 45 of them this year. So it's good to it keeps me involved, and it's not it's not the commitment of the being a coach or a front office. So it's been enjoyable, and I've been fortunate to like I said, work for Fox and then also the Dodgers.
Eric, as we finish up here, 14 years as a major league player, now you're doing broadcasting. When you look in your rearview mirror, baseball's been huge in your life. Baseball's been good to both of us. How do you thank Major League Baseball?
I think probably just by continuing to showcase baseball, to try to help, whether it's young kids, whether it's talking the game, whether it's raising awareness through charitable events because of baseball. I mean, without question, look at baseball has given me everything that I've achieved. It's allowed me to live a wonderful life. It's allowed me to have a great family. And so for that, personally, I will, always be indebted. And, I do what I can, and it's, I don't know that it's ever enough and it will ever equal out as far as, the giving back compared to what I've been given. But again, it's so important. And it goes back to the way I was raised and the importance of baseball for my father. Like I said, he grew up in a Masonic boys' home, and what, at the time the Brooklyn Dodgers meant to him. So it's been a fabric of my life, and, I've tried to pass it along to my kids.
Eric, it was a pleasure having you on today, and I really appreciate your time. And good luck in what you're doing, because you're doing a fabulous job for Fox.
Thank you very much, Bill. Appreciate it.
That was Eric Karros on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader. Did you ever think you could become a big league baseball player? Well, now you can. Come to Big League Coaching Fantasy Camp. It's January 11th through January 17th, 2026 in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. Our host hotel is the Marriott Suites for the week. Come play with the great coaches, Joe Youngblood, Shooty Babbitt, Tim Flannery, Scott Garrelts, Mark Davis. Go to bigleaguecoaching.org and sign up today. Become a big leaguer.
KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey keeps the postgame rolling live right here.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
Back on the Extra Inning postgame show on a Saturday night with Bill Laskey. Giants lose their third game in a row to the Los Angeles Dodgers, 7-5, 7 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. They hit 4 home runs tonight, and I think that was the main course of why the Giants could not catch up in this game. The Giants scored 5 runs on 8 hits. 4 of those runs came in the first inning. They just couldn't add on for the next 5 innings. They were shut out. They scored 1 in the 7th inning when Rafael Devers hit his 32nd home run, and he hit that one 400 feet to right field. The Giants just fell short, 7-5. Tomorrow, 1:10 is the first pitch. Trevor McDonald's going to get his first start as a major league pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. A 24-year-old from Mobile, Alabama is going to get his start. In AAA this year, he was 9-9, 24 starts. Just over a 5-point earned run average, so we'll see what he can do against this powerful Giants or LA Dodgers lineup. For the Dodgers, Emmett Sheehan will be pitching. 23-year-old right-hander, 6-3 with a 3.17 earned run average. He's thrown 60 in the third innings, 46 hits. He can bring it. He's a good hard thrower. 64 strikeouts. His last outing was really good. He threw 5 2/3 against the Phillies, only giving up 1 hit, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. Colorado, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. So the Giants are going to go after him. He's another right-hander. We'll definitely see Bryce Eldridge in there, most likely Drew Gilbert, to 2 rookies that are getting some playing time, and I think that's a good move by the San Francisco Giants. All right, so, next coming up is Ed Halicki. Of course, Ed, really tall pitcher, 6'7", 6'8", through his last no-hitter at Candlestick Park. Of course, he pitched 7 seasons with the San Francisco Giants, and the no-hitter was August 24th, 1975, against the New York Mets. And we talk about that, and we also talk a lot about Giants and Dodgers rivalry back in Candlestick and against the Los Angeles Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. But before we go to that, I want to talk about something that I put on social media. Of course, you can follow me on Facebook and also on X at Lasky19. A very close friend of mine, a special person, passed away yesterday of cancer. Dennis Pierce is his name. A big, long-time Giants fan, loved the Giants, and he always called in on Extra Innings with a positive note about the Giants. He never wanted to see the Giants lose. I got to know him. He came to a couple fantasy camps when I was a coordinator with the Giants camp, and he just loved the Giants. He loved putting that uniform. Had a great time at fantasy camp. Well, he retired a couple times going to camp, and he became one of my staff members, and for the next 10 years, he was unbelievable to all the campers, doing all kind of things from driving vans to getting food ready for campers, talking to them, understanding the game. But the whole thing was he was just that special person in my life. He ended up coming over to the Giants, and he was an usher for a couple years. And then for 10 years, he was a tour guide. And boy, he was fascinating as a tour guide. Learned so much about the Oracle Park and all the history of the Giants. But yesterday was really tough for me. He loved his family. He loved so many different people, and he always was that guy that went out of his way to do things. I miss him. I really will miss him. Texted him all the time, talked to him all the time. And yesterday, cancer caught up to him. and he passed away. But today, I thought about him all day, and I wanted to just shoot out some love from me to him on the airways of KNBR, because he used to listen to KNBR all the time, and he loved the Extra Inning Postgame Show. From me to you, Dennis, we love you. We'll always love you, and a part of my heart will always remember you. Coming up next, Ed Halicki on the Extra Inning Postgame Show right here on KNBR.
Bill is back.
Fired up, bringing it, all excited.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Listen on your Google Home smart speaker by saying play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. I'm really honored to have a good friend of mine come on the show today. He pitched 7 years in Major League Baseball and a great couple years with the San Francisco Giants. Let's bring in a forever Giant himself, Ed Halicki. Ed, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Bill. Nice to be here. Nice chatting with you.
Yeah, appreciate you. And of course, this weekend, Dodger rivalry. And I was looking up some statistics when you pitched against the Dodgers. Davey Lopes, 186. Ron Say, 211. Rick Monday, 217. You kind of got a hold of a couple of them, and you did very well. Tell me a little bit about those days against the Dodgers.
Well, the Dodgers, they had 430 home run hitters in 1 year. I forget what year that was, but them and the Big Red Machine, Cincinnati, were probably the two best teams in the 70s back then. Pittsburgh and Philly weren't far behind, but they were probably the two best teams. And for me, it was a rivalry being with San Francisco, but for me, it started before then. I grew up in New Jersey as a Yankee fan, and when the Dodgers beat my Yankees, I had a hate for the Dodgers. So being drafted by San Francisco was a marriage made in heaven.
Well, you grew up in Kearney, New Jersey. You went to Kearney High School, and you got drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals, but you did not sign with them. You ended up going to Monmouth College. Now, you were a two-star player back in high school as well as in college. Basketball was number one, and baseball was kind of a secondary sport. You really enjoyed playing basketball, and you were pretty damn good at it.
Basketball, I enjoyed basketball, but baseball was what I really loved. Um, I didn't get any. I wanted to stay out of Vietnam. I didn't want to go into the draft, which is why I went to college. I really didn't get recruited in baseball, but I did get a scholarship to play basketball at Monmouth. So long as I could play baseball, which I did.
Well, you did extremely well at Monmouth, and you got into the Hall of Fame, elected in 2007. But your basketball days scored 1,777 career points, 1,500 rebounds. Were you a forward, a center? What position did you mostly play?
It was mainly a forward center. We played two guards and three forwards, so we all switched off, down low. But it was a great experience playing, and it was NAIA. It wasn't D1 basketball, but like I said before, it was mainly to avoid Vietnam. I felt I was too big a target, so I didn't want to go.
Ed Hulicky joining me on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. In 1972, round 24, the San Francisco Giants drafted you, and you ended up signing a pro career. You started your pro career at that time. What do you remember about that? Was there a lot of scouts that came and watched you at college?
I don't remember any scouts watching me in college. I know there were some in high school. We didn't have big crowds back then at the college games, but the scout that drafted me by St. Louis was always calling home, talking to my mom, and saying, "Oh, we're going to draft him. We're going to draft him." And draft day came, and all of a sudden, I get a call from Buddy Kerr, who drafted me, which was a surprise. And I said, "How come I never saw you?" Back then, they always wore a hat with a little feather in it to show that they were a scout. I don't know if that was their uniform or not. But he says, I just look and see if people can run, throw, hit, and I make my own judgment.
Well, you ended up signing in 1972. You were 21 years old. You got through rookie ball and A ball. In 1973, you ended up going up to Fresno and you played in the level A there, 14-6 with a 2.67 earned run average. You ended up starting, a good amount of games, 23 start, 182 innings. How'd you feel at that time? Because that was really your first full year at a level.
Well, I felt great, but in spring training that year, uh, uh, there was a throwing bat practice. There was a pop in my elbow, and I just couldn't throw. And I started the year pitching, but I was pitching in pain and discomfort.
Hmm.
And Frank Funk was the manager, and they put me on the DL for the first half of the year. In fact, I almost quit baseball because I didn't think I'd be able to throw. But Frank had this machine that he built. It was like an ultrasound machine, and we just work on the elbow and ice and heat and doing what I was supposed to do other than throwing, staying in shape, running. And all of a sudden, it came around, and my arm came around, and everything else just fell into place. I had a good second half of the year.
Well, in 1974, you got moved up to AAA. You were 8-6 in Phoenix, and you also had your first Major League Baseball debut in 1974. You got called up to the San Francisco Giants. You made 11 starts, 16 games total. Tell me a little bit about how that all came about. When did you get called up, and how was it when you first walked into that Major League clubhouse?
Oh, it was like a dream come true walking in the clubhouse. I didn't know anybody other than names. I was never in the big league camp, so I didn't get to meet anybody. And putting on that uniform was a huge thrill. But the biggest thrill I got was when I walked down the tunnel in Candlestick Park into the dugout and walked onto the field to see inside the stadium from the ball field. It was like, oh my God, my knees were shaking. I was so excited. And then I ran out to the outfield, shagging balls, and I felt like a little leaguer again. Just running around, having fun, and it was a blast that first day. But the interesting thing was, uh, I got there, and when I pulled into the ballpark, they just took my luggage and loaded it onto a truck. I found out we were going on a road trip right after the game, so it was all just unbelievable.
That voice you hear in the extra inning post game show, my good friend Ed Halicki. 1974 comes around, 1975, you go back down to Phoenix for a few games. But 1975, you got to do a few more things at the big league level. And we're looking at August 24th, 1975. It was the second game against the New York Mets in a doubleheader. You guys won the game 6-0, but you did something that was so unusual, something that every pitcher would love to do. You threw a no hitter. Going into that game, it was the second game of the doubleheader. Watching that first game, the Mets had 12 hits in the first game. How were you looking at that game, scouting the game, and how are you preparing to pitch that second game?
I wasn't, I pitched against them before, so I kind of knew them. Um, at that time I was young, and it was, I just threw the ball. I didn't always have a plan. I just threw it as hard as I could. And uh, it was just one of those things that, after a couple innings, yeah, I'm throwing pretty good. I got some good stuff. And then it wasn't until maybe the sixth, seventh inning, then I looked at the scoreboard. I knew I had the lead. That I saw some zeros up on the visiting side of the scoreboard. So I told myself, I said, "Gosh, you may never get this chance again. So don't throw hanging breaking ball so they can hit it hard somewhere and fall in." So I was throwing mainly fastballs at that point.
Well, Ed, the Giants scored two in the bottom of the first. They scored another two in the fifth. They added in the seventh inning, and that always helps a pitcher to get a lead. But some of the guys that you pitched against in this New York Met lineup, Rusty Staub, Dave Kingman, Milner, Stearns, there was a couple real solid hitters. How did you go after them? Not just once, but you went after them three times because you went through the order three times.
Yeah, well, I just, I always try to look ahead. Like if I think I had a couple walks in the game, so I always looked ahead to see who I'm going to be pitching against in that inning. So, if I'm facing the bottom of the lineup, I said, well, I don't want to leave any men on base, so I worked harder on the bottom of the lineup so the top of the lineup wouldn't be able to, create a rally going on against me. So all of a sudden, I got in this role or ritual of just looking ahead to the next hitter and say, get this guy out so this next guy can't get me in deeper holes, deeper trouble. One thing led to another, and they were just hitting the ball at people, and we were making the play, and boom, 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 and all of a sudden I'm in the ninth inning. I'm saying, oh my goodness, don't blow it.
Well, Dave Rader was your catcher, an experienced catcher, calming you down in between innings, talking to you. How was the communication with you and him during that game?
Well, he only talked to me. The only person that talked to me was me. Nobody talked to me in the dugout. Uh, Now we did communicate on the field, but there wasn't much to really talk about other than getting signs, and I don't I don't really believe I shook him off. He just called the sign and I was hitting the target. It was just one of those games where the ball went where I wanted it to go, and for 9 innings, not just a handful of innings, but for 9 innings, and it was just surreal that this really happened.
It was the last no-hitter thrown at Candlestick Park. When you reflect on that, what is that memory, and how much is that Candlestick Park memory will always stand out for
Well, unfortunately, they don't play in Candlestick, and I always felt Candlestick was an advantage to the home team,
you? Yeah.
mainly because we had the dugout where we can go inside. The visiting team just stayed in their dugout, and if they went to their clubhouse, they had to walk across the field. So I always treated it as a home field advantage, and it brought back great memories. It's unfortunate we when I played, we only really had one very good year, but in that year, the fans really came out to cheer us on. So that's when I realized that the San Francisco fans are really great fans, but you got to win.
Hmm.
And we didn't do as much winning as we could have, but it's just part of baseball. Like I said earlier, we were playing against the Big Red Machine and the Dodgers in our division, and at that time there were only two six-team divisions in the National League, so there weren't as many teams to maybe feast on, so to speak.
And in 1977, it was one of your best years, 16 and 12, 37 starts, 257 innings and two thirds. Just a career year for you, seven complete games. And overall, when you're looking at how many complete games you had in your career, 36 complete games, 13 shutouts. That year, everything worked for you, everything was consistent. Reflect on that year and tell me what you felt as that year progressed for 257 and two thirds innings. You won't see that anymore.
No, I don't think you'll see it because they yank pitchers so fast, but Um, it was just the main reason I was healthy all year. In previous years, I didn't always. I pulled the muscle. I did this. I did that. I went on the DL. Things slowed down, and it was just one of those years where everything just came together. I was consistent, and it was a big confidence boost for the next couple of years as far as my pitching went.
A few more minutes with Ed Halicki on the Extra Inning Post Game Show. I got to talk about your hitting 165 batting average, three home runs, seven doubles, 17 RBIs. You reflect on the three home runs, who you hit them off of?
Um, let's see. My first one was against Freddie Norman, and I just thought it was a pop-up, and I rounded first base, and I see the umpire giving the home run side. I said, "Holy shit!" I couldn't believe it. Um, and then the next one, Manny Sarmiento. Yeah, I hit a high fastball. That was the only one I really looked at.
Uh-huh.
When I hit it, I knew it was out in left center in Old Riverfront Ballpark. And the third one, I think the pitcher's name was Castillo, and it was a 3-2 count, and he challenged me in a fastball, and I just ripped it down the line. I never saw it, so I figured I'd be getting a double. And again, I rounded first base and saw the umpire give the home run sign. So found out later it was probably about a foot fair and a foot over the rail in that left field corner in Dodger Stadium.
Outstanding. 3 home runs in your career and ended up having 17 RBIs. Pretty good hitting right there, Ed. As we
Well, actually, I thought I hit 195 as a hitter, so I think your stats are wrong.
Well, Baseball Reference has you at 165, so I have to go with the Baseball Reference. But then
Yeah, I
again, Ed,
understand.
whereas pitchers, you probably hit 295. How's
Well, I'll take it, but I that I know isn't true. But
that?
that's okay.
Well, as we finish up with Ed Halicki, teammate of yours passed away, Randy Moffett, a very good teammate, another great pitcher in the Giants organization. I know you guys were buddies and teammates. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Randy.
Well, my relationship with Randy, we were in being a rookie that first year. Him and Mike Caldwell sort of, talked to me and, I don't want to say looked after me, but, tried to teach me things about the big leagues, take me under their wings. So one time we're in Chicago, uh, and there was a lightning storm, so we were grounded. We had to wait for a flight. So they took me to this bar away from where everybody was waiting. We're drinking, and we're probably getting a little bit loud, and so we're walking back to where the gate was, and I said, I better go to the bathroom, and so they go in there, and all of a sudden there's a commotion. I find out they end up getting fined for being too loud. And these are the guys taking care of me, and I just came in all innocent, like not, minding my own business, just staying away from the noise. So it was pretty interesting as far as having them look after me. But Mothman, as we called him, he was a good friend, and he wasn't loud, and he wasn't, I guess, unless he's drunk, but he wasn't loud, and he really helped me a lot in the first year or two, getting acquainted with baseball and the big leagues.
Well, Ed, it was great reminiscing with you. And of course, the last no hitter at Candlestick Park will always stand there for your name on it. And what a great career for 7 years you put together in a Giants uniform. And I want to thank you for your time today.
I appreciate it, Bill. Thanks for talking to me, and go Giants, beat LA.
That was Ed Halicki on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
The game may be over, but we know you want to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. As we close out a Saturday, Giants lose to the LA Dodgers 3 games in a row now. They lost tonight 7-5, 7 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. 5 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Giants. Rafael Devers hit his 32nd home run. The Dodgers hit 4 of them. Muncy is 19th. Conforto is 12th. Edman is 12th. And, of course, Ohtani with his 53rd. They'll do it again all tomorrow. Tomorrow's first pitch, 1:10. Trevor McDonald taking the first start in Major League Baseball for the San Francisco Giants against Emmett Sheehan, 6-3 with a 3.17 earned run average. Join me on the warm-up show. We're going to do that at 10 a.m. I'll be on the warm-up show getting ready for that 4th and final game against the LA Dodgers for the 2025 season. Got some great guests coming on. Kirk Reeder's going to join me. Larry Herndon, a Willie Mack Award winner. Terry Whitfield, who also played with the Dodgers and the Giants. And Dave Tobner, who writes for the SF Game. That starts at 10 a.m., so please join me then. And then the post-game show, the Extra Inning post-game show, will follow that game. And 2 great guests for that one. Steve Garvey's going to join me. Steve Garvey, of course, the big LA Dodger superstar back then, and he also played with the San Diego Padres. And I caught up to an old teammate of mine, Gary Lavelle, and we talk a lot about Giants baseball back then, and of course a couple all-star teams that he made. And of course, we always talk about the rivalry against the Dodgers and the Giants. I want to thank my 2 guests tonight, Eric Karros and Ed Halicki. If you missed either one of those, you can always catch that at all KNBR podcasts. And I want to thank my producer today, Kyle Hart. He's been with me since 3 o'clock as we both started today doing the warm-up show. He did the game, and he did the post-game show. 8 hours he's been on that board, and I want to say congratulations, Kyle Hart. You can go home now, but it was a great job by Kyle Hart once again. He's going to be right back in studio tomorrow doing the 49ers, so Kyle and I are going to call it quits tonight. But I want to thank you, Giants fans, for calling in and listening to the show. One more weekend left to go in the 2025 season, and another great season for the Extra Inning post-game show. For Bill Laskey, be well, be safe, have a safe night for Saturday. And again, I'll be on the warm-up show tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and Extra Innings will follow that show. More coming up next right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
It's another great outing